Tell me something, girl. Are you tired of this modern world? Or do you need more? Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzy. This is the Farzy Show. I don't know why it's coming up in my algorithm on everything, but it's Jason Sudeikis. Oh, it's because they just sang at some charity event. Jason Sudeikis singing that song, the Shallow. Yeah, that one. That I haven't thought about in 6 years since that movie came out, which was an amazing movie, by the way. It's actually a really good movie. And yes, I understand it was like a remake 3 times over, but whatever. But it has been in my head. I watched the Sixers last night. I got pissed off at the world. I flipped over back and forth a little bit there with the Flyers with a 3-1 victory. Way to go, Fly guys. Actually, no, they're going to ruin it. They're going to ruin the tanking. Anyway, and I flipped over to the Flyers and all stuff, and then I went to bed, and I'm like, tell me something, girl. And then I wake up this morning, and tell me something, you need more. And it's still in my head. And somebody told me once, to get a song out of your head, you have to keep listening to that song. I feel like I am. I feel like it is. During the show today, I'm going to be talking about Nick Nurse. I'm going to be talking about Joel Embiid's. For Joel Embiid, 20 points in a game is pathetic. The Sixers in general, I don't want to even single out just Joel Embiid, but he is the MVP. He is the best player on the team. And to lose to the Boston Celtics in that manner, with no Porzingis, with no Jaylen Brown, it's atrocious. There's no the back-to-back. People were throwing at me last night. The back-to-back game, tough guy, back-to-back game. You know what? I would accept that if the Celtics had a full roster. And, I wouldn't even accept it then because I don't give a damn about back-to-backs. I understand it's difficult, but rise above, damn it. Rise above. I'm not going to lose my damn mind over the 11th game of the season. I'm not going to do that. Not going to do it. But, damn, that was terrible last night. That was atrocious. And people are coming to me last night and said, all right, well, that's the first atrocious win of the Nick Nurse. Or, excuse me. That's the first atrocious loss of the Nick Nurse era. And people are like, it's not his fault. I'm saying it is Nick Nurse's fault. I'm just saying he's the guy that's captain of the ship for the first time this season. Is his first season being the head coach of the 76ers, and this is the first atrocious loss of his era here in Philadelphia. No, it's not all his fault. Your best players couldn't get up for this game. We'll go through it. We'll nerd out and look at the numbers in this game, but it was just so infuriating. And then the Kelly Oubre Conundrum. All right. This is fascinating to me because maybe 2 days ago, it hit me. I was like, no pun intended. I was like, where's the video footage? Where's the leaked footage of this happening? Because I said on the reaction show, which we did on Monday morning, I was like, well, okay, well, to just hit somebody and keep going, that's terrible. And I'm like, you're going to get caught because everything's on video nowadays. And here we are like a week removed. And I'm thinking, hey, where's that video? Where's that video? Where's the surveillance video? And what's more amazing is the fact that the Philadelphia police have come out and been like, we haven't found any evidence that this has happened. I need evidence of whether or not it happened. I need not just evidence that it happened. I need evidence of Kelly Oubre going by that intersection on his bike and like hitting a fire hydrant or I don't know, just swerving out of the way of somebody and then hitting a car. Not a car that was in motion, but maybe a parked car as he was swerving out. I need video evidence of something happening to Kelly Oubre. I don't want it to be bad. I don't want it to be vicious. I just want to know what the hell happened. Because right now it's a huge realm of possibilities as to what could happen. And I saw the TMZ video. I don't want to play it because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to get anybody dinged on social media here, but if you haven't seen the ring cam footage yet, there's ring cam footage out there of Kelly Oubre going back to his apartment with his bike, and he's walking into his house, his apartment, and you hear a lady's voice say, you all right? I got hit by a car, and he's wincing in pain. I got hit by a car. He says that when he got back. The police say they found no evidence. I find that astonishing that they found no evidence that has happened. But I also find it astonishing that they found no evidence that it did not happen. That's my question. Do you have any video evidence that it didn't happen? For instance, Kelly Oubre going along his bike on one block, then Kelly Oubre his bike on another block, and then Kelly Oubre getting back to his apartment and going in. And what the hell happened? Is there video evidence? Maybe there was a puppy in front of him on the street. And he was like, moved around it real quick and then hit a wall. I don't know. Then he's too embarrassed to tell anybody. I don't want to go with anything other serious than that because I don't want to wish that into the air. But let's just say this. Anything could have happened. The Sixers and Nick Nurse, there was a long back and forth last night. The Sixers going back, we're talking about Kelly Oubre, about the report, and they're all taking him at his word that he said he was hit by a car, and the driver kept going. I found it very interesting. The 6ABC report that I saw, they reported it as Kelly Oubre was hit by a drunk driver. This was last night. This was on last night's news. Hit by a drunk driver. And I'm like, well, how do you know that he or she, how do you know the driver was drunk if they didn't stop? And I'm like, this is now like other details are coming in that don't make any sense. Apparently, Kelly Oubre said the accident happened on one spot and it really happened possibly on it. And he said it happened in another spot. So there's inconsistencies already in the story. Here's what I am willing to bet. Here's what, just by listening to everything that I've listened to, seeing everything that I've seen, here's what I'm willing to bet. He was not hit and run. He was not hit and run. Something else happened that might be close to that. I believe he fell off his bike. I believe something happened there, but I don't believe that it was I'll just say this, how did the police officer describe it last night? A pedestrian vehicular accident? No, I don't think that was the case. I don't think he was hit by a car that was driving, and then I don't think it was a hit and run situation. I think something else happened. But I do find it very, very interesting that there's no evidence to the contrary. There's no evidence of it. Okay, fine. But is there any evidence suggesting something else happened? Because again, as I said, the day we reacted to this, I would love to know. As I said, the day it happened, there's video of everything. Nowadays, there's cameras everywhere. And I found it really interesting that it's a story that the police couldn't find video evidence because it's so obscure that they couldn't find video evidence. And they put the call out if anyone else has video evidence of this happening because everyone knows and everyone's got a camera in their pocket nowadays. It's insane. Absolutely insane. So this story is mind-boggling to me. And I'm looking forward, if we ever find out what actually happens, I'm looking forward to actually finding out what happens because now I'm curious. Before I just felt bad for the guy. Now I'm really curious. Adrian Wojnarowski, by the way, put out last night that Kelly Oubre could return to the team in 2 weeks. He was already taking part in some light drills at the Sixers practice facility yesterday, or 2 days ago now. So I found that really, really interesting. But as far as the story, all right. Okay. Very interesting. And the other thing is, if you're going to get involved, I'm playing Dragnet now. If you're involved in a hit and run, I'm going to assume if you're the driver, if you're the one doing the hitting and the running, I'm going to assume you speed away from that instance rather quick. So no car jetting down the street away from the scene of the crime, quote unquote, the alleged crime. Find that interesting also. Nothing really adds up here. Nothing really adds up. And I think it might have been Annie McCormick last night from 6ABC who was at the Nick Nurse media availability before the game. Excuse me. And there was a back and forth going on between Howard Eskin. I think there was a back and forth a little bit going on with Sixers PR, and Nick Nurse was at the table. And they're all going around talking. And then Andy McCormick, I think it was Andy McCormick of 6ABC. She just goes, hey, by the way, I'm Andy McCormick of 6ABC. I usually cover the news. So this is something that's outside the jurisdiction of just sports. And she just kind of dropped the gauntlet. It's like, yeah, guys, I don't play in your little fun world of sports. I do real news. You know what I mean? And she just dropped the gauntlet. It was like, so this is what happened. Police are saying they found no evidence. What do you have to say? Nick Nurse is like, I stand by my guy. And it's like, okay. So I'll tell you right now, some of the best moments in sports, when it comes to sports stories, they're had by reporters that do the news, not sports. You know why? Because they find what someone like me or anyone else in this realm does, they find it to be adorable. Oh, you guys are talking about sports all day? Yeah. Meanwhile, several people were beaten by a rowboat oar today, more than 11. There's, crazy stuff like that. She goes there, she drops the gauntlet. The next question, press conference with Drew Rosenhaus all those years ago with T.O. on T.O.'s front lawn, weeks after the sit-ups in his driveway. The reporter that started that was a regular news dude. It might have been Walter Perez at 6 ABC. Other than get your client fired, what have you done for him? Next question. Oh, beautiful question. Anyway. This Kelly Oubre thing is insane. It's bonkers. It's nuts. And I hope we find it. I hope that there's video evidence. Here's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that video evidence comes out that supports Kelly Oubre's claim. I did not expect to spend the first 5-10 minutes of the show talking about Kelly Oubre. I did expect to sing Shallows 5 times in the open, and I've done that. But I am rooting now. I am now rooting for Kelly Oubre to not be a liar. An embellisher. All right, I'll just put it like that. An embellisher. I'll leave it at that. So I'll leave it at that then. As for the game, oh my goodness, great. Jeff Kerr is going to join us. He's today's guest. Talking all things Eagles. Jeff Kerr will join the show from CBSSports.com. Jeff gives us his take on the second half of the schedule. He'll give us his take on the next 5 games that the Eagles have and what is realistic and what his expectation is for the Eagles, what their record will be going forward. I do ask him the same question I asked our guest yesterday, Bill Colarulo, when it came to this Eagles team and the tush push and the banning of the tush push, whether or not they are trying to phase it out slowly in the NFL. So we'll get to that conversation with Jeff Kerr as well. And there is one more. Defensively speaking, what we need to see from Sean Desai and also Brian Johnson. How would Jeff Kerr evaluate Brian Johnson's first half of the season run as his first year of not only being an offensive coordinator, but also being the play caller for the Eagles? So we'll get to all that and more on today's program. Let's start it off with this. This is last night's box score from the 76ers. I know, tiny little numbers because so many different players played. I just want to highlight Tyrese Maxey being held to 20 points, Joel Embiid being held to 20 points, both those team highs, and getting 6 players to finish in double figures in scoring. That's nice. Everything else kind of sucks. Joel Embiid didn't go bonkers with turnovers, only had 2 last night. Tyrese Maxey only had 2 last night. Joel Embiid finished a rebound shy of a double-double, and he also had 7 assists. The 20 points is kind of what sucks right there. And I was really ready to say that, and I did say as much a week ago when the Sixers played the Celtics again, previously, the first time of the year. I did say, remember the days where Al Horford just manhandled Joel Embiid? Remember those days? They're far behind us now. Al Horford, and I was watching the pregame, and I never really watch ESPN pregame, but I was watching Michael Wilbon talk about it. And Michael Wilbon was like, can we stop with the Al Horford thing? Can we stop with the Al Horford? He owns Joel Embiid and all that stuff. Because he has in years previous, but then now, more recently, Joel Embiid has kind of been able to manhandle him. That dad strength has turned into a dad weakness. Not last night. No Kristaps Porzingis. No Jaylen Brown. And the 76ers lose. And for the record, when I saw Porzingis wasn't playing and Brown was out, I felt like a loss. I'm going to tell you right now, it felt like a loss. The excuse was built in with the back-to-back, and now everybody else on the Celtics was going to raise their game unexpectedly, and the Celtics go up 17 in the first half? Are you serious? Are you serious? All right, fine. Shake it off, okay? Shake it off. Come out in that second quarter. Sixers dominated in that second quarter. They take the lead going into halftime. Then they come out and they poo-poo the bed against the Boston Celtics again. They grab the lead thanks to Tyrese Maxey. They grab the lead again thanks to Tobias Harris. They grab the lead again thanks to Joel Embiid. And every time, 1-point lead, 2-point lead, it was very, very minuscule anytime the Sixers grabbed the lead. The Sixers' largest lead of the game was 5 points. Think about that. It was 5 points last night. Rebounds were almost the same. Offensive and defensive rebounds were the same. Assists were around the same. Steals were around the same. The thing that Boston just ran away with last night, they had 8 blocks over the Sixers. And there were times where it's one of those situations where if you're watching this game, you didn't know it was a back-to-back, you might go, is this a back-to-back? Because they look like they're coming up out of quicksand. That's how slow the Sixers look. They look like they're coming up out of quicksand. I understand the back-to-back matters, okay? I don't like that it matters. Joel Embiid was asked about it after the game. Joel Embiid said, that's the schedule. That's the way it is. We're professional athletes. No excuses. And I went, that might be one of the better things I've ever heard from Joel Embiid. No excuses. I like a no excuses type thing. But no excuses, 20 points and losing to the Boston Celtics in that manner last night, especially when you had different runs in this game to reestablish momentum and take control. They just ran out of gas? Really? This early in the season? Hey, a back-to-back game in February where you kind of been through it, that I kind of understand. All right. But a back-to-back in November when the other team is missing 2 starters, absolutely atrocious loss last night by the 76ers. Absolutely atrocious. And again, you look at the box score of the game, and I always like to say numbers never lie, but they sure as hell deceive. Man, 8 blocks, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad for the Sixers. And then you also you try to factor in the idea that you did have spurts of dominating the game. And anytime you look like you were really going to kick it into high gear, it was like you just ran out of gas. Awful game last night. And yeah, Al Horford, man, he got up. If there was going to be a game that Al Horford was going to get up for, there was going to be a game where he was back in the starting lineup and he was taking on his old teammates. And I don't know about you guys, but I stopped thinking about Anna Horford, his sister, right? Who apparently had a very volatile relationship with the Philadelphia fan base. Yet she defends Boston, and okay. She just tweeted out X'd out, whatever, a video of her brother blowing a kiss in a Boston Celtics uniform. I was like, oh yeah, she exists. I forgot about that. Anyway, definitely a rough one last night for the Sixers. Definitely a rough one. One of the things Nick Nurse pointed to after the game was a simple thing, just not being able to really get into the rhythm, not being able to get into their sets, not being able to get a flow. Looked like at times they certainly had it. Let me put it this way. I hope it was just an energy thing. Hopefully it doesn't matter by the end of the season that they lost this game for playoff seeding purposes. Hopefully it doesn't matter. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line and talk to our friend Jeff Kerr of CBSSports.com about all things Eagles. Here's Jeff Kerr. I swear. Jeff Kerr. Not yet? All right, well, here's a preview of what we talk about. We'll get to that in a second. The Eagles coming up here in their 5 games. If you don't know it by heart right now and memorizing it after the bye week, here it is once again. At Kansas City, hosting Buffalo, hosting the 49ers, going to Dallas, and then going to Seattle. That's the run. I strongly believe the Eagles can go 4-1. And as of right now, the one game that I see the Eagles losing in this run is that game in Dallas against the Cowboys a couple weeks before Christmas. That's the game that I see the Eagles losing. I don't want to see them losing that game, but I just can't help it right now. Dallas always plays the Eagles tough during the regular season. When it comes to the postseason, that's where they choke. So for me, that's the game that I'm looking at right now. That will be a problem. I actually really like him going up against Kansas City. The closer we get to that game, the more I like the Eagles' chances of winning that one. I feel like the Eagles are absolutely going to have that huge chip on their shoulder playing against Kansas City Chiefs. We'll get into more of the X's and O's, of course, with Jeff Kerr. But I look at a guy like Hassan Reddick, and I look at guys like Josh Sweat. I look at those edge rushers that weren't able to get home in the Super Bowl. And I look at them really getting up for this game and being able to get in the backfield and raise some havoc. That's the way I look at it for this game going forward. We'll break it down a little bit further coming up here. But without further ado, now let's get to our friend Jeff Kerr of CBS Sports, talk all things Birds. Gentlemen, Jeff Kerr, CBSSports.com. Jeff, great to have you along. And if your ears were ringing, I literally started my show yesterday, my interview yesterday, with the same sentence, but you're the one that wrote the story here about John Runyon, the John Runyon that's in Green Bay, about the tush push. So I'm going to ask you about this story here. Is the NFL trying to phase it out? Do you believe, Jeff Kerr, the NFL is trying to phase out the brotherly shove?
I do, to an extent. I don't think they're actually going to ban it, but I think they're going to do things where it's not encouraged. And what I mean by that is basically John Runyon getting called for false starts all of a sudden. And I think you're going to have to be precise, and you're going to have to really practice it. Now, I thought it was funny because Andy Reid this week said, look, they don't practice it as basically, I'm paraphrasing here. They don't practice it as much as you think they do. And I've seen NFL practices. They work at it, but it's more of, okay, we're going to go to this during the red zone or the red zone portion of practice or like the walkthrough. They're not actually going live doing this because you're going to get injured doing it. Someone's going to get injured. So it's more of, okay, we're going to do this. We have the quarterback, we have the lineman, we have the system. We could do that. I think that's why teams that have the running quarterbacks or the taller quarterbacks are doing it. Like I'm actually shocked that Chargers don't do it with Justin Herbert, but again, I don't think Brandon Staley and those guys know what they're doing there. Kellen Moore does, but I don't think Brandon Staley does. I digress. So I feel like, though, the Jordan Loves of the world, I'm trying to think of the other guys that have been doing it a lot. Jordan Love, Justin Fields. You know the Bears are perfect on it, by the way. They have not missed. Yeah, isn't that funny? The Bears of all teams, but again, they have Justin Fields. They can pull this off. The Giants try to do it. They're terrible at it. I don't know what the heck is going on there, but Eagles are. They
could dangle the chicken cutlet in front of Tommy DeVito, and that's how they get it. That's the motivation.
Yeah,
sorry, I couldn't. I couldn't. Baby Joe Pesci. Fantastic.
I had to get my Goodfellas reference in there. At some point since you mentioned Tommy DeVito, but
of course.
Anyway, Farzy. So you know the Eagles are 84% and the rest of the league is 70% on the tush push. It's not exactly that big of a difference.
That is insane. Is it the regularity? The amount of times they run it in a game?
The Eagles, so here's the thing with the Eagles stat. They're 21-25, right? But these are the 4 times they've actually missed. Twice they were running out the clock against the Rams. Remember when they were doing it at the end of the game? Mm-hmm. So that doesn't count as a conversion, first down, touchdown.
Okay.
Then remember in the red zone against Tampa, they did it just to get closer, and then they got it on the next play?
Yeah.
And the other conversion was when they tried to get out of the 1-yard line against Dallas. And it wasn't a conversion, obviously, but they still got like 4 yards. So,
yeah.
I mean, in theory, the Eagles could run that play every single time. And it would take all day to score the touchdown, but they might do it.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. Yeah, I know. I hear it. It's so crazy. I never thought we'd spend – I feel like we spent more time talking about the tush push than we have the Philly special. And I think that's a damn sin. And it's the NFL's fault for slowly phasing it away. Anyway.
You know what I blame for this? I blame Kayla Kaler from The Athletic did a nice article on it last year about like how they're like changing everything and how the Eagles are used to it. It was a really good piece. I enjoyed it. Like she was promoting it. And all of a sudden you got Peter King and the whole it's not aesthetically pleasing. I'm like, give me a break. And then you got other people chiming in. I heard the national writers on the game against the Cowboys just kind of shake their heads. And Kayla Kaler was one of them. She was one of the ones who was enjoying it. And I'm like, see, okay, she knows what she's talking about. that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, why don't you guys like open? Why don't you guys like plays football's derived from? Like, do you not have Jalen Hurts as your fantasy quarterback or something? Like, I don't know. I think anything that generates good offense or good defense or good football. I love the tush play. I don't care if you're an Eagles fan or not. That's a fun play.
If you and I were entrepreneurs, you and I'd be opening up like some kind of gentleman's club in South Philly called the Tush Push. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying it would do really well. Anyway, the Kansas City Chiefs are coming up here against the Philadelphia Eagles, rematch of the Super Bowl. We all know the story here. What I am interested in, I was asked this question the other day, but when it comes to the Eagles and the Chiefs, how have the Eagles closed the gap, if they have it all, between the Super Bowl last year and this matchup coming up Monday night?
It's kind of crazy. I think they closed the gap on the Chiefs, but they didn't close the gap on their talent level from last year. If that makes any sense. I think last year's team was a more talented football team, but this year's team is 8-1 and they're winning close games. And now injuries have played a lot. I think the gap is closed because they have Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts is basically becoming Patrick Mahomes here. All the guy does is win. And now he's putting up numbers. He's not putting up Mahomes' numbers, but he's putting up numbers in his own way. So I'm looking at it as, okay, what Jalen Hurts has been able to do is, no matter how bad he plays, the Eagles are in football games, and their offense is putting points on the board. Like, you got to remember the Jets game, I want to say it was, week 6. He has 4 turnovers, and they win. Well, the team has 4 turnovers. And they win, but they should have won. If he doesn't throw that last pick, Jalen Hurts is 9-0 right now. Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts have the 2 best win percentages in the NFL since 2021. It's crazy to think about. All-time quarterbacks, minimum of 40 starts. Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts are on that list of best win percentage. Think about that. There's only 5 quarterbacks in NFL history that won 25 of 27 games, and Jalen Hurts is one of them. The Eagles have a winning quarterback. They just do. And I think that's why they're catching the Chiefs. And the Chiefs are such a different team this year. They really do miss Eric Bieniemy. But their defense is phenomenal. I mean, Steve Spagnuolo has done one heck of a job with that. Look, we knew that defense was going to be good. Just from a national perspective. Trent McDuffie was coming to his own last year. George Karlaftis. Nick Bolton's already a stud. You got Chris Jones there. The Jarius Sneed, like they have really good players on that Chiefs defense. And I think that's what they prepared for, honestly, when they gave Mahomes the contract and then they gave him the other contract extension. It's okay, we're going to move on for Tyreek Hill, but we're going to concentrate on other sides of the football on the other side. And they've been able to do that. They're going to be paying their guys soon enough. It's because I think they know their quarterback is good enough to still win games, no matter who his pass catching targets are.
No, it is amazing. let me ask this. This is a storyline that I'm really finding interesting for this game. The Chiefs are 7-2. The Eagles are 8-1, as we know. But I feel like the NFL is still looking at these two teams, at least this brand, the 2023 Chiefs and the 2023 Eagles, as prove you're this good. We don't believe that you are this good. We want to start raining on the parade that is the Kansas City Chiefs. We want to start raining on the parade that is Jalen Hurts, the Philadelphia Eagles, the play we've already talked about ad nauseum. This team isn't as good as they were a year ago. The Chiefs aren't as good as they were a year ago. Do you feel like that's a little bit of a storyline where both these teams are looked at as not as good as the previous year?
I think they're both not as good as they were last year, but they're still, if you look at the records, they're the 2 best teams in the National Football League. And I think the NFL is going to eat it up this week, by the way, with the Kelsey brothers. And by the way, don't you think it's funny how the Travis Kelsey single from the Christmas album dropped this week? It's dropping this week. Don't you think that's funny? Like, I knew Travis was in it because I asked months ago if he was going to be in it. Yes. Also, when I kind of found out he was dating Taylor Swift, but that's beside the point. but yeah, you got that storyline. You got Mahomes versus Hurts. You got the Super Bowl rematch. By the way, I think this is the first Super Bowl rematch where both teams had the best record. in like 40 years. That's kind of insane that those two teams happen to be that good. And I've told people in Kansas City this Super Bowl week, before Super Bowl week last year, when we knew this was going to be the match, this isn't going to be the only time. It's going to be Chiefs or Eagles. And they all agree with me. I'm like, I think that's pretty awesome. Quite honestly, the Chiefs and their people saw, you know what, this is going to be the team. Like, this is probably going to be the matchup for a lot of years because they were sold on Jalen Hurts before the Super Bowl. And then he puts up the game of his life in the Super Bowl. Outside of a fumble, he outplayed Mahomes. And, it's kind of crazy how the Eagles and Chiefs are built similarly based on the offensive and defensive lines, and the Eagles will never admit this as an organization. It takes so much from me. They take so much from them. But they won't admit it because for some reason, it's not that Andy Reid, the gold standard here by that organization. But I'm trying to put the words in their mouths. Basically, they want to prove they can win without Andy Reid, and they've done that. But they still use a lot of Andy Reid's philosophies to win, and it's stuck with them. Andy Reid took that over to Kansas City, and I think you're seeing that teams that build strong offensive lines and strong defensive lines ultimately win in the playoffs. And the Chiefs have done it now twice in 4 years. The Eagles have been to the Super Bowl, and it won't shock me if they go again.
Where are you at right now as far as the Eagles and their defensive line goes? And I'm including edge rushers in this, Hassan Reddick most notably. As far as being better than what we saw a year ago, we know the 70-sack season was incredible last year. Now Hassan Reddick looks like he's at another incredible pace to get double-digit sacks. He will get double-digit sacks this year, of course. How much do you think that Super Bowl from last year and not being able to get home against Patrick Mahomes is feeding into the motivation with their defensive line and edge rushers going into this game in Kansas City?
I think they're more clutch this year. I put up a stat last week. Did you know the Eagles have the most sacks in the fourth quarter and the most pressures in the fourth quarter of any team in the league?
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, and it's probably been passed now because they had a bye week. But regardless, that's pretty impressive. Josh Sweat is the only player in the NFL with over 20 fourth quarter pressures. And I think more people were shocked that Jadeveon Clowney was second. But Jadeveon Clowney's been really good in the fourth quarter for Baltimore, too. So they're getting their money's worth out of him for how little he's making now. But Hassan Reddick's been clutch in the fourth quarter. Josh Sweat. I think this team is more of a clutch factor this year. Last year, you didn't see much of a clutch factor because they were blowing everybody out. And you still always had the belief they could win a game, but they never really came back to win a game. This year, I think they can come back and win football games. In fact, the quarterback has told you that because the last 6 times he's had a double-digit deficit, he's won, which is the longest streak in NFL history. Jalen Hurts. Yeah, our guy. Not Tom Brady, not Peyton Manning, not Joe Montana, not Brock Purdy. Jalen Hurts. So, fun little nugget for you there, Mark. But I just think this team is. I do. I think that's why they're 8-1. I don't think they look like an 8-1 football team, but they're clutch.
I'll say this: being clutch is great, and always feeling like you have a chance to win with Jalen Hurts and this defensive line is great. All that's great. Everything's great. I would rather than put up a lot of points for the first quarter and make me kick my feet up and relax in the second quarter. But whatever, we can't have it all. Let me ask this.
So you're like the guy. Hold on. So you're like the guy who said to me on Twitter the other day, "I'd rather be like the Cowboys and blow all the bad teams out and lose to the good teams than have what the Eagles."
Why can't I watch the Eagles blow out the good team? You know what I'm saying? They can still blow out the good team as long as they. Hey, look. Bottom line, as long as they still beat the good team and they're not the fraudulent Dallas Cowboys, for instance. Well, then I'll be just fine and dandy with it. But let me ask you this. Sean Desai, I've graded pretty high. I think he's done a great job. Considering the injuries, especially to the Eagles defense, and especially Hassan Reddick not being Hassan Reddick until 4 games into the season. Brian Johnson has been the more controversial coordinator for the Eagles. What am I to make? What should I make? Jeff Kerr, CBSSports.com. What should I make of Brian Johnson through the first half of the season? And what do you need to see from him in the second half of the season?
Well, there were times I wanted to pull out what little hair I have left, a.k.a. I don't, on the decisions Brian Johnson makes, like throwing a deep ball on 3rd and 3 when all you need to do is run for a first down. Like, you can't trust the Andre Smith or Kenny Gainwell to get you that. As bad as both of them have been the last 5 weeks, I think they can get 3 yards. I mean, that's what they're averaging, 3 yards a carry. They should be able to get 3. But yeah, there are times where I kind of shake my head at what Brian Johnson does, but at the same time, he's a first-year offensive coordinator, and they do have the number 2, number 3 offense in points and yards per game. So it's hard to complain. Oh, and the year we're scoring is way down, by the way. It's the lowest it's been through 10 weeks since 2007, and the Eagles are still putting up numbers, and Jalen Hurts is putting up another MVP year. So I can't get upset with this guy. I gave him I think I gave an A- on Bleeding Green Nation. I was on their podcast. I think I gave him an A-. So I can't remember if it was A- or B+. But regardless, I gave Brian Johnson pretty much credit that a lot of people have. I think if the Eagles make a deep playoff run, don't be shocked if he gets called to be a head coach someday.
Oh boy! And what are the Eagles? The Eagles get a compensatory pick out of that, don't they?
They would get a compensatory pick out of that, and then I guess they could Kevin Patullo. It's funny how it all works. Everybody wants what's working, and Ben Johnson in Detroit, Bobby Slowick in Houston. No one knew last year who Bobby Slowick was when he was quarterback coach of the 49ers. They're like, who the heck's this guy? And I'm like, whoever the Texans draft's going to be really good. And then they got CJ Stroud. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is going to work.
Gonna look pretty good.
Of course, I couldn't get CJ Stroud in any of my dynasty leagues. So. I was pick too high, Mark. Pick too high.
Here's my last thing for you. Here's the schedule, Jeff. What will Jeff Kerr be happy with at the end of this 5-game run? At KC, host Buffalo, host San Francisco, visit Dallas, visit Seattle. What's Jeff Kerr happy with, and what's Jeff Kerr expecting over the next 5 days, including this KC game for the Philadelphia Eagles?
Jeff would be happy with 4-1. I don't see it happening, though.
Ooh.
My good friend, and probably your good friend, too, I believe he's one of your good friends, Rob Motti, he pointed out Eagles can go 2-3 at this stretch. As long as the 2 wins are San Francisco and Dallas, then you're set. So, yeah, I'll take that. I don't think they're going to lose to Buffalo. I think Buffalo is the Titanic right now. They're just sinking.
Wow. Yeah.
As good as they are, and I think they can fix it because I think the quarterback can fix it, even though he turns the ball over a lot. I need to deal with Stephon Diggs and that headache every week. And now you got a new offensive coordinator. Joe Brazier, offensive coordinator again. Ed Dorsey's out. He was the scapegoat for the head coach, putting 12 guys on the field. By the way, Mark, I got to tell you this story. So I'm watching the game Monday night, and I'm yelling at the TV, 12 on the field, 12 on the field. I do not yell during football games. And there it was. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, it's a thing as a guy who played a lot of defense and special teams, knowing when to get on, to get off the field. It's a lot more complicated than it seems, but you still got to count, and no one counted. So I digress. But I do think I'll say if they beat Kansas City, they're going to get home field advantage in the NFC. I truly believe that. I don't expect them to beat Kansas City. In Arrowhead, I just don't see it. I had that pencil as a loss for a while. So they can prove me wrong this week.
Fair enough.
I think they beat San Fran. Dallas, not sure. Dallas, Seattle, I think they win. So 3-2 is what I'm expecting.
I don't expect them to win in Dallas. I think I have them at 4-1. My thing has been Eagles, you are the individual gauntlet running through these teams. These teams are thinking about you. You're obviously thinking about them, but these teams fear you, and you just want to roll through and make sure you stack the wins. But that Dallas game, that's the game that I look at and go, it's too good to be true. It's too good to be. We'll see what happens leading up to that game. We've still got 3 games to watch before that one, but I think that's the game that, as of right now, and I look at, again, this schedule, I look at it and go, that's the game that in Dallas does play Philly well during the season. It's the postseason where they completely choke it away for 4 quarters, not just, one like they did in Philly. But when I look at that game, that's the game I look at and go, I don't feel great about it.
Yeah, so last year, remember when Jalen got hurt against Chicago? I mean, you knew he wasn't going to play against Dallas early in the week. And I said, well, good thing the Eagles are basically up 3 games with 3 games to play because it means nothing. And yeah, I tried telling Cowboys fans and media that whole week, it means nothing because all the Eagles have to do is win one of their last 3 and they clinch home field and they clinch this. No. It meant nothing. And it really meant nothing when Gardner Minshew played. So they could afford to do it. So I just hope we get another Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott game because that first game was fun. As much as everybody was sweating, it was a fun game seeing those two go at it and seeing Dak basically play his best and still lose. It's, to me, that's when football is fun. So give me Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes. Give me Jalen Hurts versus Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts versus Brock Purdy. Jalen Hurts versus Dak Prescott. Jalen versus Geno Smith. I just want to see Jalen healthy all 5 of those games because to me that's good football.
All right, final question, probably the one that will give the most piping of hot takes, the most hot of piping hot takes. Who is the funnier TGIF character? Is it Urkel or is it Balky Bartakamus?
That's Urkel. Balky's a little before my time.
Oh, come on. You got to watch film, Jeff Kerr. You got to go back and watch Balky Bartakamus from Meatpost.
You know what? In that era, I'll say this, Mark. In that era from those popular shows, the show I watched was The Wonder Years, and that was not a TGIF show.
That was not. You're right. That's correct. Is it true that was Marilyn Manson? I'm just kidding. Anyway, so so one of the best rumors.
Now, I have other questions about The Wonder Years, but Marilyn Manson, not one of them.
It's one of the best rumors ever. Anyway, Jeff, always great catching up with you. I do think that's a piping hot take. I go Balky Bartakamus over Urkel. We'll discuss later in our field of 64 of TGIF characters. But anyway, Jeff, always great catching up with you. Thanks so much. Make sure you guys check out all things Jeff Kerr on CBSSports.com. Jeff, thanks so much, brother.
Yep, always a pleasure, Mark. I love coming on with you.
You're the man. See you, bud.
So if you're ever at a bar, thank you, Jeff Kerr. If you're ever at a bar and it's a karaoke bar and you hear the karaoke DJ person say, all right, next up, Balky Bartakamus, just know that that's me. My karaoke name since college, Balky Bartakamus. Every once in a while, the DJ gets it, knows what's going down. One time the DJ actually played the Perfect Strangers theme song. Sometimes the world is changing. Yeah. Standing tall. All right, anyway. Thanks to Jeff Kerr. Let me tell you about the people at MyBookie. Skip the arguments with Uncle Dave over Thanksgiving and focus on what really matters. If you do have an Uncle Dave, maybe he knows more than you. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe you don't have an Uncle Dave. But just the uncle. That's always oh, you like sports, huh? Sports. You're just like, I'm just trying to enjoy some turkey and some football, my man. But tell you what, there's good food at Thanksgiving, hopefully in your case. Well, how about this? Boosted odds. That's what you can guarantee when we talk about all things MyBookie, mybookie.ag. And hitting those Turkey Day parlays is a great thing in MyBookie. Picture this, not just watching the games, but turning every second into a potential win. With MyBookie, you could stream the games and live bet them and turn any game into a payday. Ready to up your game? Sign up today and make your first deposit with promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy. And you can stream the games and live bet on them with a sweet deposit bonus up to $1,000. You heard that right. A deposit bonus up to $1,000. So make sure you take advantage of that with promo code Farzy at mybookie.ag. That's promo code Farzy to claim your bonus. This isn't just a promo code. It's your secret weapon to get the extra edge on the house. The best part is you don't need to be a sports
try that again. What's going on, everybody? We lost internet for a second there. Good times. But MyBookie.ag. Take advantage of all they have to offer at MyBookie.ag. Let's get into the chat check, but first, let's say hi to our other special guest today. Little Toots. Did you lose Vanya Manya? No. What'd you lose?
I was upstairs by myself.
I know, sweetheart. My mommy just left. Come here. In a good way. Mommy's got to be in New York today for business. Say hi. Say hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Say, what the heck, Sixers? Oh, no.
Sisters.
Very nice. All right, I'm going to say hi to everybody in the chat real quick, okay? I'm going to say hi. You want to say hi? All right, go ahead and say hi.
Hi.
That's very nice. That's very nice. Do you think the Sixers should play better even though it's a back-to-back? I know, right? Hold on. There we go. All right. That's bad. All right. Let me see here. Let's start it off on the Farzy Show channel. You want to say hi to Jim real quick? Say hi, Jim.
Hi, Jimmy.
Jim. Professor Dutch, good morning. IBH, good morning. Sean Kilrain, good morning. Are we back? Are we back? I hope we're back. Sort of back. We're freezing. All right, I'm going to try to get through this here. April, good morning, April. Say hi, April.
Hi, April.
Can we get Embiid to stop dribbling up the court? Your job as a big man is to be in the middle of the paint. That's your job. Yeah, I don't like. Look, I'll draw the line. I don't mind him shooting threes, but bringing the ball up, I'd prefer that not to happen. Sean Kilrain, time for a production. Or it's April saying that. Yes, time for. It's all on my end, ladies and gentlemen. What else? Jason A. Good morning, Farzy and friends. Do you think Embiid just doesn't have that killer instinct? Definitely missing Oubre and Batum. I do not think that Joel Embiid has that killer instinct. I would like for him to have that killer instinct. I think the hottest take you could take out of last night's game is same old Sixers lose to the Celtics. They beat the full staffed 70. The Sixers beat the full staffed Celtics. I'm not going to lose my mind about a loss in November. It does suck. I am not happy about it. But I'm not going to lose my mind over it.
Daddy, you take my hair tie out.
You took your hair tie out? Good job, sweetheart.
I need to get my other one now.
April likes my karaoke name. Thank you. Oh, Jason A. Jaden Springer. Jaden Springer is the truth. That's what Jason A says. 1,000% agree with it. With the next one? Okay. Let me just finish this little segment, okay? And then I'll take that out, and then we'll do your hair again and get ready for school, all right? All right, sounds good. The strip and steal that he had and took it back the other way for the reverse jam, that was something special. That was something real special. What was his final total last night? I know he was high in the plus category. Not that I live my life by that.
I was watching this.
90. Oh, you were watching this? You were watching me? You were watching you is what you were watching. Plus 20 on the night. 9 points, 2 steals. Turn the ball over twice. Scoozy. How about Paul Reed hitting a 3? That's something.
I gotta wait. I'm going on this one.
Okay, Hushbat. Watch the cord.
That's the cool.
There we go. Now we're in business. What the heck, man? There we go. Al Horford is Embiid's daddy. It would certainly seem like that.
Daddy.
Jacob Show page, what's going on? Ready for some football? Let's get to the second half rolling. I agree.
Hello.
Hi. Whiners. What's up, Whiners? Swinging. What's up, Swinging?
What's up, Mommy?
Monoluz, did you hit this time?
No.
You sure about that?
No, I did not.
There we go. Far Sixers ticked me off ticked me off a ton last night, especially Embiid. He looked awful all game positive as Springer was plus 20 and Paul Reed has been plus 37 the past 4 games. That is pretty good. I'll take that. What else do we have here? Twiz, what's up, Twiz? How you doing?
No,
How about those Flyers? Wine Niners Wine says, how about those Flyers? Flyers get the 3-1 win last night, by the way. 2 goals in the first period. Carter Hart came up with 31 saves. Not too shabby for Carter Hart last night. Thanks for everybody in the chat. You guys are fantastic as per usual. Thank you very much. All right. Here's what we got. Going to get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow for Friday's show, obviously. Sixers are going to take a much needed hit. You have gotten progressively more comfortable in front of the camera. Do you know that? You know, Uncle Joey loves your appearances, by the way. Uncle Joe in Pittsburgh. He says he loves listening to me dad live. So that's fun. That's fun.
No,
76ers, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to be back at it.
Daddy, I want the color.
Okay, you can color. We'll go upstairs and color. Sixers are back at it, by the way, tomorrow night in Atlanta against the Hawks at 7:30.
Daddy, I mean down here.
You want to color right here? Okay, yeah, go for it. That is, yeah, use that pad. That's fine. Hopefully we'll find out a little bit more about Kelly Oubre and all that fun stuff. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Flyers. I can't leave out the Flyers. Flyers will be back at it tomorrow night as well. Or excuse me, Saturday night, Saturday afternoon against the Golden Knights in South Philly. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Also, don't forget about the great people at the PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Jim Hyden produced the program. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.